Have you ever woken up feeling stiff, tired, or just not quite yourself? It's a quiet frustration many of us face as the years add up, a nagging reminder that our bodies aren't as young or as lively as they once were. I've been there too. For a long time, my mornings were a slow shuffle from bed to kitchen, clutching a cup of coffee and hoping the fog in my mind would lift before noon. It felt like my energy was slipping through my fingers, and honestly, it was heartbreaking to watch myself slow down day by day. But here's the truth. It doesn't have to be that way. There's no magic pill or complicated routine. Just a few gentle, simple habits that can transform your mornings and breathe new life into your days. I discovered these easy steps years ago, and they've helped me not only survive but truly thrive, clear-headed, pain-free, and full of energy. These aren't just tips. They're small acts of kindness toward your body and mind, and you can start them tomorrow, no matter your age. What if the secret to feeling stronger and sharper was something as simple as the very first things you do when you wake up? You deserve mornings filled with ease, strength, and joy. I invite you to join me on this journey, because feeling better isn't just possible, it's waiting for you. What one small change will you try first? If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. Now, let's begin. 1. Hydrate with water and mineral salt first thing. If you had told me 20 years ago that something as simple as a glass of water could change the way I felt each day, I'm not sure I would have believed you. After all, in the grand scheme of life, drinking water seems so ordinary, so basic, that it's easy to overlook its quiet power. But I want to let you in on a little secret that's kept me going strong day after day, well into my 90s. The very first thing I do every morning is drink a tall glass of water, with just a pinch of natural mineral salt. It wasn't always like this. I remember the mornings when I would wake up, my knees stiff, my hands swollen, and my mind muddled, as if someone had left a heavy, gray blanket over my thoughts. Like many of my friends, my morning ritual started with coffee. Always coffee. I'd shuffle to the kitchen, half awake, and pour myself a steaming cup, hoping it would coax my brain and body into motion. For years, this was just how mornings were supposed to feel after a certain age. Sluggish, slow, and frankly a little lonely. Then came my 75th birthday. I remember it so clearly because it was the year my world shifted. I started experiencing dizzy spells, sudden, jarring moments where the room would tilt, and I'd have to grip the counter to steady myself. My fingers felt thick, almost as if my rings belonged to someone else. My knees ached before I even stood up, and I was so tired, all I wanted to do was crawl back under the covers. I went to my doctor, expecting some concrete advice. He told me, "Well, you're in your 70s. That's just how it goes." But something inside me refused to accept that. Maybe it was stubbornness, maybe it was hope. Either way, I started reading, searching for answers, talking to other women, and asking questions I never would have thought to ask before. What I learned surprised me, even shocked me. While we sleep, our bodies lose nearly 1 liter of water every night, simply through breathing and skin evaporation. That's about 4 cups, gone before the day even begins. Yet what do most of us do? We reach for coffee or tea, which, though comforting, dehydrates us further. It's like trying to drive your car without oil, pushing through the aches and fog on an empty tank. No wonder so many of us feel stiff and foggy in the morning. I came across a study from Johns Hopkins Medicine that opened my eyes. It said even mild dehydration in people over 65 can reduce brain function by over 25%. That means if you're just a little bit dehydrated, your mind, your memory, and even your mood take a real hit. On top of that, dehydration ramps up inflammation in the body, which makes joint pain worse, and may even speed up the aging of the brain. When I read that, something inside me clicked. I didn't want to accept that decline as normal. I wanted to do what I could, no matter how small, to keep my mind and my body as sharp and as strong as possible. That's when I started my simple morning ritual. Every night before I go to bed, I pour a glass of room temperature water, about 16 ounces, into a pretty glass. It sits right on my nightstand, waiting for me. In the water, I add just a pinch of mineral-rich sea salt. Not table salt, not flavored salt, just the pure, natural kind you can find at most stores these days. Sometimes, if I'm feeling fancy, I'll add a little squeeze of fresh lemon, but never any sugar or honey. When I wake up, before I say a word, before I even reach for my slippers, I drink that glass, slow and steady. You might be wondering, why the salt? For years, I thought salt was something to avoid, but I learned that our bodies, especially as we age, need minerals to absorb water at the cellular level. It's not just about drinking water, it's about helping your cells use it. That small pinch of sea salt helps your body pull the water inside, restoring balance and hydration after a long night's fast. This is called osmotic absorption, and after the age of 65, it becomes even more important. Our bodies don't hold on to water the way they did when we were 30, so we have to give them a little extra help. At first, I worried it was too simple to make a difference. But after just a few mornings, I noticed my hands weren't nearly as swollen. My knees didn't creak quite so much when I got out of bed. And something I hadn't expected happened. I started to feel sharper, mentally. The fog that usually lingered well into the afternoon began to lift before 8 o'clock. My mornings became clearer, lighter, and even a bit brighter. It felt as if my body was finally getting what it needed to start the day. I wasn't the only one who benefited. I have a dear friend, Mary Lou, who's a few years younger than I am. She'd been struggling with daily headaches and occasional faint spells for months. Her doctor prescribed blood pressure medication, but nothing seemed to help. One afternoon, over tea, I shared my little water ritual. She laughed at first, said it was far too simple, but promised to try it. 3 days later, the headaches stopped. A week after that, she called me, nearly in tears, saying, "I woke up today and stood up without having to hold on to the wall." Sometimes the smallest changes have the biggest impact. I understand if you're skeptical. We live in a world that loves big solutions. New pills, fancy routines, complicated gadgets. But our bodies are wise, and they are thirsty first thing in the morning. When we ignore that gentle signal, they protest, with fatigue, aches, and confusion. But when we listen, when we answer that call with a single glass of water and a little salt, our bodies respond with gratitude. Let's talk about some practical tips, because I know habits are hard to change, especially after decades of doing things a certain way. First, set yourself up for success the night before. Place a glass of water on your nightstand or somewhere you'll see it first thing. Use a glass you love, a small act of care for yourself. If you like, slice a bit of lemon or keep a tiny dish of sea salt nearby. Remember, it doesn't take much, just a pinch, enough to rest on your fingertips. The water shouldn't taste salty, just subtly mineral. And when you wake up, before you check your phone or turn on the TV, take a deep breath, sit up slowly, and drink your water. Make it your first act of kindness for the day. Don't rush. Let it be a little morning ritual. A pause, a reset. This simple habit has become a sacred moment for me, a small celebration that says, I am here. I am caring for myself. And if you forget one morning, don't worry. Try again the next day. Your body will thank you for every effort. Some people ask if tea or coffee can count as hydration. I wish it did. I love my morning tea, but caffeine draws water out of your body, so it's not a substitute. You'll notice that when you start with water, your need for that first jolt of caffeine lessens. Your body feels nourished, more awake naturally. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. There's something powerful about starting your day on purpose, instead of on autopilot. Drinking water first thing is a way of telling yourself, I am not done yet. I am still choosing life, choosing strength, choosing to show up. Every single morning you wake up is a gift, and you deserve to begin it with an act of self-care. I don't claim this little habit will erase every ache or make you feel 30 again. But I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, it has made my mornings brighter, my body lighter, and my mind clearer. For so many of us, the answer isn't something new and complicated, but something our bodies have been quietly asking for all along. The next time you wake up, before the world rushes in, give yourself the gift of water. It's never too late to start loving your mornings. One small, beautiful change at a time. 2. Get morning sunlight to reset your circadian rhythm. When was the last time you let the morning sun touch your face before you did anything else? It's funny, growing up in rural Kansas, sunshine was just a part of daily life. I'd rush out the door barefoot as a child, chasing my brothers through dew-wet grass, our hair catching gold in the first light of day. I didn't know it then, but that gentle sun was already working its magic, telling my body to wake up, my mind to come alive, and my spirit to expect joy. Back then, mornings felt easy, fresh, even hopeful. But as the years went by, life got busier. Children, work, chores, and if I'm honest, a touch of sadness sometimes, as I watched seasons change and people come and go. Somewhere along the way, I stopped stepping out into the light. Mornings became more about tasks than about life itself. I'd sit by the window with my coffee, watching the sun rise behind glass, but rarely letting it greet me face to face. I told myself it was enough, but it wasn't. It wasn't until my late 70s, after my husband had passed and the house felt just a bit too quiet, that I realized something had shifted in me. I found myself waking up tired, even after a full night's rest. My mood grew duller, and little things, like misplacing my glasses or feeling blue for no reason, became more frequent. I thought, is this just what old age feels like? But then my granddaughter Molly, who always had a way of cutting straight to the heart, asked me, "Grandma, why don't you ever sit on the porch with me in the morning anymore?" Her words sat with me all day. I remembered how much I used to love those moments. The crisp air, the chorus of birds, the feeling of being truly present as a new day began. So the next morning, for the first time in years, I wrapped a shawl around my shoulders, made a cup of tea, and shuffled out to the porch before breakfast. The sun was still low and gentle, not yet hot or harsh. I closed my eyes and let the light wash over me. It was just a few minutes, but something in me felt different. Lighter, somehow. I tried it again the next morning, and then again, making it a small daily ritual. It was so simple, but I soon noticed that I felt more awake, less sluggish. My mood was a little brighter. I slept a little more deeply. I laughed with my neighbor that I'd found the magic cure, free, legal, and just outside my door. It wasn't magic at all, of course. It was science, hidden in plain sight all these years. I learned later that our bodies are run by a kind of master clock called the circadian rhythm. This clock, built right into our biology, controls more than just sleep and waking. It guides everything from our hormones and digestion to our immune health and even our emotional resilience. The thing is, this clock needs a reset button every day, and that button is morning sunlight. No lamp, no artificial light, no kitchen window can do what 10 or 15 minutes of real sunlight can do for you, especially as you age. When sunlight enters your eyes, it tells your brain to switch off melatonin, the sleep hormone, and turn on serotonin, which is your body's natural, feel-good chemical. It's like an orchestra conductor starting the music for the day. That's why, even on cloudy mornings, I still go out onto the porch. It's not about how bright it is. It's about getting that natural signal. I wasn't the only one who needed this. My dear friend Dolores, who'd struggled with insomnia for years, tossing and turning, trying every tea, every sleep aid, found real relief when she started taking her coffee outside each morning. At first, she thought I was being silly. "A porch won't fix my sleep," she chuckled. But I nudged her to try, just for a week. That Friday, she called me with happy disbelief. "I fell asleep at 9:30 and didn't wake up until 6. I can't remember the last time I slept like that." Now, she won't miss her morning sunlight for anything. The studies back us up, too. Researchers at Stanford and the University of Colorado have found that just a few minutes of morning sunlight can boost serotonin in older adults by as much as 40%. That means better mood, more energy, and even stronger feelings of connection to others. Sunlight also tells the body to wind down the sleep cycle, making it much easier to fall asleep again at night. Something so many of us struggle with as we get older. I know it's tempting to stay inside, especially when it's cold or you're feeling stiff. But here's the thing, you don't have to be out there for long, and you don't have to run or exercise. Just sit or stand quietly. Wrap yourself in a favorite sweater if you need. Sometimes I just stand at the edge of my porch, breathing slowly, watching the world wake up. I like to keep my glasses off so my eyes get the full benefit of the light, and I always take a moment to listen to the birds or notice the breeze. It's a tiny ritual, but it brings me back to myself every single morning. The quiet is soothing, the fresh air is a tonic, and the sunlight is, quite literally, a signal to my body that I am alive and here for another day. If you live in an apartment or somewhere you can't easily step outside, even opening a window wide and sitting in the light can help. The important part is to let that natural light touch your eyes and skin for at least 10 minutes as soon as you can after waking up. You may notice changes right away, or it may be subtle. For me, it was the little things. Feeling less irritable, having more energy to take my morning walk, even feeling more talkative when my daughter called. It's easy to brush off these changes as coincidence, but the longer I kept this habit, the more convinced I became that it's one of the simplest, most healing things we can do for ourselves. Sometimes, when I sit on the porch, I think about all the women of my generation who were taught to keep busy, stay indoors, and take care of everyone but themselves. We spent years making sure everyone else's mornings started right. Isn't it time we let the sun take care of us, too? There's a kind of quiet dignity in beginning the day with light. It's a gentle statement that you're still here, still growing, still worthy of simple joys. My granddaughter joins me sometimes now, and we share that moment. 2 generations, faces to the sun, listening to the world begin again. So tomorrow, before the day gets away from you, before chores and calls and the news, open your front door. Step out, even just for a few minutes. Let the light touch your face. If you can't go outside, open those curtains wide and let the day come to you. It's not just light, it's life, and it's your invitation to another day of possibility. No matter your age or circumstance, this little act can become a gift to yourself. The world outside waits for you each morning, faithful, bright, and full of hope. And maybe, just maybe, your body will thank you by feeling just a little bit lighter, your spirit a little more joyful, and your mind a little more at peace. Every morning is a new chance to begin again. Why not greet it with the light you deserve? 3. Morning brain tune-up. 4 minutes to sharpen your mind. There's a moment each morning, after the first sip of water, before the weight of the day presses in, when the world feels quiet and my mind is a blank slate. For years, I let that moment pass me by, assuming my brain would simply wake up as I moved about, made breakfast, or read the paper. But as the birthdays ticked by and my hair turned silver, I noticed something quietly troubling. Names slipped away more easily, familiar stories jumbled in my head, and sometimes I'd stand in a room, blank on why I was even there. If you've ever found yourself staring into the fridge, trying to remember what you came for, or if you've misplaced your reading glasses for the 3rd time in a day, please know you're not alone. For so many of us, these little lapses are met with frustration and even fear. Is this normal? Is it the first sign of something worse? I know the worry that can bubble up in those moments. I've felt it too. I wish someone had told me earlier that the brain, just like our bodies, needs a little warm-up every morning. It doesn't matter how many years we've lived, the brain is wonderfully capable of rewiring, growing, and surprising us, if we give it the chance. I stumbled upon this lesson in my late 70s, after a period when those little memory lapses became hard to ignore. I'd lose the thread of a conversation at church, forget the title of my favorite song, or fumble with words during Scrabble with my granddaughter. It made me anxious, and honestly, a little embarrassed. I caught myself avoiding social gatherings because I didn't want anyone to notice. One afternoon, determined not to let worry win, I started reading about brain health, real science, not just magazine tips. I learned something that changed my perspective entirely. The brain is at its most plastic or changeable in the first hour after we wake up. In this special window, our brains are flooded with a natural fertilizer called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. A powerful little protein that helps neurons grow, connect, and heal. It's like springtime for our minds, right there, every single morning. Most of us, though, spend that time lost in habit. We check the news, scroll our phones, or let our minds drift in a fog of worries. But what if, instead, we spent just a few minutes intentionally tuning up our brains? It doesn't take long. My morning brain tune-up is just 4 minutes. 4 minutes that, over time, have transformed my confidence, memory, and clarity in ways I never thought possible. Let me share my little ritual. Right after I finish my water, while the house is still quiet, I settle into my favorite chair by the window with a notepad and pen. Nothing fancy. For the first minute, I give my logical brain a gentle nudge. I solve a simple math problem. Maybe it's adding two numbers together, or multiplying something simple in my head. I don't let it get complicated or stressful, just enough to stretch my mind and wake up those sleepy circuits. The second minute, I close my eyes and call up a memory in vivid detail. Sometimes it's my wedding day, the lace on my dress, the smell of my mother's perfume, the way the sunlight slanted through the church windows. Other days, it's the raucous laughter of my children splashing in the pool, or the taste of cinnamon rolls baking in my kitchen. I let myself sit with the memory, painting every detail in my mind's eye. This isn't just nostalgia. It's a workout for the parts of the brain that store and retrieve information, weaving together senses, emotion, and story. For the third minute, I turn to language. I challenge myself to learn 4 new words, often from the daily crossword, a book, or even a page-a-day calendar my daughter gave me for Christmas. I say each word out loud, try to use one in a sentence, or imagine how I might slip it into conversation. Language is a powerful anchor for the mind, and playing with new words keeps my mental vocabulary fresh and lively. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The fourth and final minute is about intention. I sit quietly and visualize my day, seeing myself move through the hours with calm and confidence. I imagine myself carrying groceries with a steady hand, greeting friends at the senior center, or calling my son to check in on his family. Sometimes I'd picture myself navigating a challenge, like balancing my checkbook or learning a new recipe, and see myself succeeding with grace. This minute grounds me emotionally, setting the stage for a day led by choice instead of chance. It's remarkable, really, how these 4 minutes can change the color of my whole day. After a few weeks, I noticed I was remembering people's names at church again. I could recall stories I hadn't thought of in years. I stopped feeling like my mind was slipping away, and instead, it felt like a garden I could tend and nurture, one little bit at a time. My friend Carolyn, who's 88 and recently recovered from hip surgery, started this practice while she was still confined to her chair. She called it her brain garden, jotting down her math problems, memories, words, and visualization each morning in a small notebook. Her doctor was amazed at how mentally sharp she stayed throughout her recovery. "My body was healing slowly," she told me, "but my mind never felt stronger." There's real science behind this. engaging different parts of the brain, logic, memory, language, and visualization, stimulates neural connections and helps protect against long-term decline. It's not about being perfect or solving puzzles meant for geniuses. It's about consistency, gentleness, and curiosity. The brain, at any age, is grateful for the attention. And don't let anyone tell you that a senior brain can't learn or grow. Some of the most vibrant, quick-witted women I know are in their 80s and 90s. The secret isn't youth. It's simply tending to the mind as you would a cherished garden, a beloved pet, or a favorite old car. If you want to try it for yourself, here are a few tips. Choose a quiet spot and set out a notebook and pen the night before, so you don't have to hunt for them in the morning. If your hands ache, use a voice recorder or even just speak your answers out loud. Start simple and be kind to yourself. This isn't a test, it's an invitation. And if you miss a day or two, just come back when you're ready. The beauty of this ritual is that it meets you where you are, no matter how you're feeling. With time, you may find your mind grows not just sharper, but braver, willing to try new things, start new conversations, or learn something for the sheer joy of it. You might notice that you feel more present with loved ones, or that you laugh more easily, forgetting less and living more. It's never too late to befriend your mind. Every day you wake up, you have a chance to plant new seeds in your memory, your confidence, and your joy. Give yourself those 4 quiet minutes each morning, before the world asks anything of you. Your mind is still blooming, and there are stories and strengths inside you waiting to be discovered. Who knows what you'll remember, or where your imagination might take you, if you just give yourself the time. So tomorrow morning, after your water and sunlight, settle in for a gentle tune-up. Your brain, your story, and your spirit are all worth it, one loving minute at a time. 4. Gentle 7-minute mobility routine to maintain independence. There was a time when independence was something I took for granted. I never gave a second thought to hopping out of bed, bending down to tie my shoes, or reaching that casserole dish tucked way up on the highest shelf. I was always on the move, chasing grandkids through the backyard, kneeling in the garden, bustling from room to room, barely pausing to catch my breath. It seemed impossible that I would ever feel trapped by my own body. But somewhere along the way, things began to change. It was subtle at first, just a little stiffness in my hips, a gentle ache in my knees, a hint of unsteadiness when I tried to put on my socks standing up. I'd tell myself, "Oh, it's just an off day." But those off days came more often. I started to plan my chores around what didn't hurt. The long walks to the mailbox became shorter. Getting up off the couch became an exercise in willpower. Some mornings, the idea of doing anything before breakfast felt as daunting as running a marathon. What no one tells you is that it's not age alone that robs us of our independence. It's the gradual loss of mobility, the ability to move easily, to bend, to reach, to step with confidence. That's what chips away at the freedom we once took for granted. I saw it happen to friends. Someone would have a small fall or a minor injury, and suddenly, their world would shrink to the boundaries of a favorite chair. I was terrified that one day, that would be me. I'll be honest, I've always been wary of exercise routines, especially as I got older. The last thing I wanted was to twist myself into a pretzel or try to keep up with a perky instructor on TV. I tried gentle yoga from a VHS tape I'd kept since the 90s, but instead of feeling loose and energized, I ended up with a sore back and a stiff neck. The routines I once loved now left me feeling worse, not better. It was after a particularly rough week, a week when even standing up to answer the door felt risky, that I finally made an appointment with a physical therapist. Her name was Grace, and she looked me in the eye with a gentle firmness that reminded me of my mother. She explained that as we age, our joints lose moisture, our connective tissue stiffens, and our spines become more sensitive. What helped in your 40s or 50s, she said, may not help now. It might make things worse. She reassured me that the key wasn't to move more, but to move smarter. That was the beginning of my gentle mobility routine, a 7-minute sequence that changed everything. There are no fancy moves, no expensive equipment, and absolutely no need to get down on the floor. This routine is about waking up your body with kindness, not force. It's about giving your joints a warm greeting before you ask them to carry you through the day. Let me walk you through it, just as Grace did for me, one gentle movement at a time. I start seated in a sturdy chair, my feet flat on the floor. The first movement is shoulder circles. Just 30 seconds, rolling my shoulders forward in small, gentle loops, and then backward. I focus on the sensation of warmth spreading through my neck and upper back, softening the stiffness that settled in overnight. It's amazing how such a tiny movement can release tension, almost like opening a window for fresh air. Next, while still seated, I do seated marching, lifting one knee at a time, as if I'm marching to an invisible parade. I go slowly, letting my hands rest lightly on my thighs, breathing deeply. This isn't about speed or strength. It's about reminding my hips and legs that they're alive and capable. After a minute, I always feel a little more grounded in my skin. Then, I stand up and move to a doorway for chest expansions. With my hands on the frame at shoulder height, I gently lean forward until I feel a stretch across my chest and shoulders. Years spent hunching over kitchen counters, typing on the computer, or caring for others can leave our posture rounded and closed. This simple stretch opens the heart and lets the breath flow more freely. I hold it for 30 seconds, sometimes smiling at the memory of dancing with my late husband, chest lifted with joy. Now, it's time for supported squats, standing behind a sturdy chair or at the kitchen counter, holding on lightly. I bend my knees a little, just as far as is comfortable, then slowly stand back up. I repeat this for about a minute, listening to my body, never forcing anything. These gentle squats strengthen the thighs and glutes, the very muscles that help us get up from chairs, climb stairs, and stay steady on our feet. Each repetition is like an investment in my freedom. Back in the chair, I finish with ankle circles, lifting one foot and circling the ankle clockwise, then counterclockwise for 30 seconds each, then switching sides. These tiny rotations send fresh blood to my feet and ankles, parts that are too often ignored. I've learned that strong, flexible ankles are one of the best defenses against falls. By the end, I feel awake but not exhausted, just pleasantly warm, as if every joint and muscle is thanking me for the attention. This is not about sweating or pushing my limits. It's about checking in with my body, listening for creaks or complaints, and moving in a way that says, I care about you. The results have been nothing short of remarkable. After just a couple of weeks, I noticed I could rise from my favorite armchair with ease. Walking to the mailbox became less of a production. I found myself kneeling in the garden again, tending my tomatoes, feeling more like myself than I had in years. My friend Nancy, who had come to rely on a walker for early morning trips to the bathroom, started this same routine. Within 2 weeks, she no longer needed her walker around the house. She told me, I feel like my body finally woke up. There's something so hopeful about that, about realizing it's not too late, that we're not stuck, that change is possible even in our 80s and 90s. Of course, not every day is perfect. There are still mornings when the aches and stiffness make me want to skip it. But then I remember how much better I feel afterward, and I tell myself that 7 minutes is a small price to pay for a day of freedom. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. So if you're reading this and you're worried about losing your independence, I want you to know that your body still wants to serve you. It's never too late to start. Begin small. 7 minutes, 5 gentle moves. Set your own pace. Use a kitchen timer, or just listen to your favorite song as you move. Some days you'll do more, some days less, but every single bit matters. Mobility is not about vanity. It's about dignity. It's about being able to answer the door, dance at your granddaughter's wedding, or walk in the sunshine on a crisp autumn morning. It's about living life on your terms, not shrinking your world to fit your aches and pains. Tomorrow morning, before you check the news or pour your coffee, give yourself the gift of gentle movement. Let those 7 minutes remind you that you are still strong, still capable, still wonderfully alive. Your independence is worth every second. 5. Protein-rich breakfast to feed your strength and muscles. For years, I believed that eating light in the morning was the best way to take care of myself. A slice of toast, a piece of fruit, maybe a cup of coffee to jumpstart the day. That was my routine for decades. I thought that as I got older, my body needed less food, less fuss, and certainly fewer heavy meals to stay healthy. But what I didn't realize back then was that this habit was slowly stealing my strength and vitality. It wasn't until I hit my 60s that I began to notice something troubling. I felt more fatigued by midday, my muscles seemed weaker, and the simple act of carrying groceries or lifting a grandchild felt like a challenge. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I knew something was wrong. Friends would comment that I seemed to be shrinking, and I felt it too, not just physically, but in my energy and confidence. One afternoon, I sat down with my doctor and voiced my concerns. She smiled kindly and explained something I hadn't fully understood before. As we age, our muscles become resistant to growth, a condition called anabolic resistance. This means our bodies don't build or maintain muscle as easily as they once did, even if we're eating the same way. The solution: we need more protein, and more importantly, we need to eat that protein early in the day. That was a revelation. Suddenly, breakfast wasn't just the first meal, it was the most important meal to fuel my strength and independence. I started experimenting with different foods, learning which ones packed the most protein and were easy to prepare and digest. For me, breakfast transformed from a light snack to a purposeful meal, a meal that nourished my muscles and gave me energy that lasted well beyond the morning hours. Now, most mornings, my breakfast includes 2 scrambled eggs, a half cup of cottage cheese, and a small cup of green tea. Sometimes, if I'm in the mood for something cold, I whip up Greek yogurt mixed with a scoop of protein powder, fresh berries, and a handful of walnuts. On days when I need a quick boost, a smoothie made with whey protein, almond milk, a spoonful of collagen powder, and a frozen banana does the trick. What matters most is hitting that 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein within the first hour of waking. Studies from Tufts University have shown that older adults who eat this amount of protein early in the day maintain stronger grip strength, better balance, and experience significantly slower muscle loss. It's like sending a powerful signal to your body that you're still here, still strong, and ready to move. One of my friends, Viola, who's 91 and one of the most graceful women I know, struggled for years with carrying her groceries and felt weaker than she wanted to admit. Her doctor told her to exercise more, but the real issue was her breakfast: toast, fruit, and black coffee, with hardly any protein. We worked together to add 2 eggs and a side of yogurt to her morning meal, and within a month, she called me excitedly, "I feel strong again. Like myself." That's the power of feeding your muscles what they need, when they need it. I've also learned that timing is important. Eating your protein after you move, after your gentle morning stretches or mobility routine, makes your muscles more receptive. Movement boosts blood flow, delivering oxygen and nutrients to your tissues, so the protein you eat can be put to good use. At the same time, I avoid sugary cereals, muffins, or fruit juices first thing. These can give a quick rush but often lead to a crash in energy and interfere with fat burning and mental clarity. You don't need a bodybuilder's diet or fancy supplements. Just real food, real protein, at the right time. This simple shift has given me more than strength. It's given me confidence. Confidence to rise from my chair without hesitation, to carry my grandchild with ease, and to walk tall into the world with steady steps. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for the coffee or toast, ask yourself, am I feeding my strength or just sticking to old habits? Your muscles are still listening, still waiting for you to give them what they need. Remember, It's never too late to change your morning routine and nurture your independence with every bite. Your body will thank you in ways you can feel and see, stronger, steadier, and more alive with each new day. As we come to the close of this journey through simple but powerful morning habits, I want you to pause for a moment and truly feel what this means for you. Every day you wake up is a new chance, a fresh page to write your story of strength, clarity, and independence. These 5 habits, the glass of water with mineral salt, the embrace of morning sunlight, the 4-minute brain tune-up, gentle movement, and a protein-rich breakfast, aren't just routines. They are acts of love you give yourself, small but mighty steps toward living fully and joyfully, no matter your age. I know change can feel daunting, especially when old patterns have been with us for decades. But I promise you, it doesn't take a complete overhaul. It takes small, consistent choices, moments where you say, I deserve better. I choose to care for myself. And the beautiful thing is, your body and mind are listening. They respond with gratitude, vitality, and resilience that can surprise you. You deserve mornings that feel gentle yet empowering, days filled with energy and peace, and years ahead where you can keep doing what you love with confidence. Don't let anyone tell you that getting older means giving up your strength or your joy. You have the power to reclaim both, starting with the very first moments after you wake. So, I invite you now. Which habit will you try first? What small act of care will you gift yourself tomorrow morning? Share your thoughts below. I read every comment, and I'm here cheering you on. If this message touched your heart, please like, share with a friend, and subscribe to our community where we support each other on this beautiful journey of aging well. Your best days are still ahead.